Welcome to NDE Radio. I'm your host, Lee Witting. Our guest today, Dustin Vaughn Warncke, plays an important role at NDE Radio as the volunteer technical expert facilitating our Facebook page. Dustin, along with volunteer associate producer Lilia Samoilo, who provides the Facebook content, are the admin gurus who make our Facebook presence possible and leading our listeners, hopefully, to our YouTube channel as well. And well beyond NDE Radio's Facebook page, Dustin keeps incredibly busy. Dustin has served as a motivational speaker, devotional leader, and master teacher, working with numerous individuals, small businesses, and organizations, helping them achieve their goals and turn their dreams into reality. He earned a bachelor's degree from Texas Lutheran University in 2002 and became an avid outdoorsman and an authority in sales and marketing with a specialization in the outdoor industry. As such, he has produced and hosted hundreds of YouTube videos and TV shows, as well as bi-weekly podcasts, and authored paperback books, eBooks, blogs, and feature articles for regional and national print and online publications. Dustin's goal in all this is to inspire others, and especially veterans, to do great things in life through service to others while living with love, joy, purpose, meaning, and significance. His new book, titled An Intentional Optimized Life, Finding Meaning in God's Plan, draws on his own encounters with God through inspirational dreams and a recent NDE. You can learn more about Dustin's books, articles, blogs, videos, outdoor TV show productions, and podcasts at www.dustinsprojects.com. Dustin, welcome to NDE Radio.
It is an honor to be here. This is wonderful.
It's wonderful to have you on finally. Dustin, I found your new book to be quite an inspiration. And today I thought we might explore how you gained your own motivation for accomplishing all you've done so far. You were raised in the evangelical Lutheran denomination, but your childhood was not without difficulty since your parents divorced when you were young. How did that affect your growing up?
So that's a great question. There was a lot of division and those kind of things in the family, fighting and whatnot. And I always knew, though, that love was the constant tie that binded. Like, it was the one thing that kept us together in hope and meaning in life was love being the most important thing. I'll always remember that about my childhood, which is a great thing.
That's a wonderful thing. That's a key element. And then your NDE, tell me about that.
I was in the hospital, the heart hospital here in Austin area, getting a defibrillator tested because when I had it implanted back in February, they tested it and for some reason it didn't work right. And I had the defibrillator retested again, which in this case, they put you under with IV medication to basically help you just relax and go under so you don't remember the defibrillator shocking your heart back into rhythm. And what they do basically is put your heart into a rhythm that is, arrhythmia, basically a non-safe rhythm. And from what I understand, I went into that arrhythmia and they couldn't bring me back from it.
Wow.
The defibrillator wasn't doing its part. It basically, they basically panicked on the operating table, and there was nothing open or anything like that. This was all sealed up and just happening inside of me. And they paddled me 3 times with their defibrillator to bring my heart back into a regular rhythm, and said after the 3rd time I came back. But before then, they were going to have to do CPR if that didn't work, because I just was not responding. And throughout this experience, I woke up. I don't remember much during the experience, but I woke up with this vision. And I don't know, Lee, if you're familiar with, if you stare into a light for a while, you feel like this kind of part of the light burns into your sight. It burns into your vision. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If you look at the sun for a long time, you kind of get, and that's the way I felt. It was a vision of Christ's face on a bronze coin or plate, or it's hard to explain, but basically it was a vision of Christ's presence and Christ's face on this bronze, tablet or plate, just a round object, basically, that was bronze or gold. And I had that feeling again that I had when I was 15 years old. And since then, basically, of that peace that goes beyond beyond all human understanding, basically telling me that it's all going to be okay. And that no matter what happens to me, I'm going to live a good life. Like, I just had that feeling around me that I was going to be all right. And I know something happened in that experience. I don't have a memory of it so much, but I have a memory of what I last saw that was burned into my psyche for, several minutes after I woke up, and that peace that goes beyond all human understanding that I had after it. So I know it was definitely an NDE for me.
Did that, now, how long have you been doing motivational speaking?
A while. I've been doing crosswater events for the last Crosswater Outfitters, which is my fishing ministry. I've been doing those events since 2012. And I've been speaking at those events for probably the last 5 years or so, and videotaping my speeches there. And then I do Facebook Lives, I do Facebook videos and those kind of things too. I've done several over the past. I haven't done a lot recently, but basically just to inspire and motivate and do things. Even when I have my outdoor podcast, I would try to work inspiration to that, just things that would be a blessing to other people to take with them in their lives, things that they can use, practicality, those kind of things.
And would you say that your NDE changed your the way you do your motivational speaking, or did it add to it?
Yes, it added to it. Mainly the thought that the thing that I came back from my NDE with was love. Like, love was the answer. And I know that you hear about that a lot. And I had kind of what we would consider, what Lilia has talked to me about, being a before, during, and after experience with NDE Radio, because I knew what to look for in the near-death experience, in the respect of listening to your show, because I found your show probably 7 or 8 years ago when I recorded Steve Gardopy's experience, which you recently had on the show.
Well, that would be the whole history of it then, because it's just about 8 years that I've been doing it.
Yeah, so I ran into people that had used your shows on YouTube and whatnot, and I was just kind of, I responded well to, okay, I know what I had after my experience with the near-death experience, because and a spiritually transforming experience at that, because I started doing things different. I started really being more of empathetic and understanding and compassionate, but also becoming more of telling people the way I truly felt, like not leaving anything on the table. And then also I felt like I was very much more altruistic. Not that I wasn't before, because I've done ministry things, my whole adult life when I've had the opportunity, especially in the last 10 years. One of the other ministries that I'm a part of is Camp Agape, which is bereavement camp for children. And I've been involved with them for the last about 9 or 10 years, and not as much recently, but basically that's where we minister to kids that are age 7 to 12 that have had lost a loved one. And that's been a very meaningful part of my work too. And so I think part of the message was go back and do more of that, more of the hope. People need hope, was what I had the feeling of after my NDE, is that I needed to, and that inspired me to I wrote a book back 20 years ago called There's Power in Living. And this was kind of a spinoff of that book that I wrote, and basically was just kind of a revisitation of, hope in spoonfuls is kind of my mantra.
Yeah.
It's just giving the world hope.
I think in the book you said maybe around 2013 you went through a period of depression.
I did.
How did you reconcile the fact you were feeling so depressed with the motivational speaking that you'd been doing?
So that's a good question. It was just about finding the hope and the meaning and the significance and the purpose in who I was, not how I felt, if that makes sense. And really getting to the bottom of, I am a human that has needs. I'm a human that is loved by God, and those kind of things were combating. And I listened to, they were combating what I was feeling. It's so sad and hopelessness. And what I was feeling though at the time was I was pumping myself full of lots of motivational content, lots of podcasts and those kind of things, YouTube videos and things like that were inspiring and just to try to get me through one day at a time through that period. It was about a 6-month period of just severe depression. And I talk about that often because I want people to know they're not alone. I want people that are going through depression to realize that there is hope, and there's people that care about you, and that you are loved.
Thing about when you're severely depressed, though, and you're hearing all this positive input, even though that it's things that you've said yourself to other people, you could get really cynical or feel really, I don't know,
like
discouraged, almost so over discouraged, because you see that it actually, without God being part of the message, it can be really shallow. Sure. Like there was a routine on Saturday Night Live that who was the guy that became the senator, but it was these self-empowerment or people like me, and
yes.
That's
the
way
the guy's name is.
I can't. Al Franken.
Al Franken. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was really funny, but the fact that and everyone laughed at it because they'd all heard it. But if it seems to me at any rate that if it doesn't have God's love as the basis to build on, which your book does, I mean, you start out with that. Then there's a whole lot of self-empowerment, and then it ends with God again, and which is good. I think that's really a critical part of the message, because otherwise it can seem very shallow. I mean, if we're trying to generate all of this empowerment and hope and organizational skills and determination and focus, but we don't have God in the picture, then we're just drawing on pretty much an empty glass, I think.
You're right. Absolutely right. Yes. And I mean, that's the whole idea, is that you have to have the empowerment with purpose. I think I heard on one of the IONS conference recordings, and I put this quote in my book from, I believe it's Friedrich Nietzsche, that he who has a why can get through almost any how. Yeah. I don't know if you remember. I do. The author that spoke to me so much. Yeah. That was one of the things that was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. That's exactly what I'm trying to convey, is that kind of purpose of, if you have a purpose and you have a meaning that God has a plan for your life, you will, go for it, just live in that purpose. And that's easy to say. It's hard to do sometimes. I've got a lot of friends that are hurting right now, and I try to give them just the encouragement that just look, if it's not one day at a time, at least take it one moment at a time, and just live in that, in that. Because once you have your why, you can, that's the most important thing you hear in a lot of motivational things, is you have to figure out what your why is. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you believing this? Why are you thinking this, before you can get through the how, and sometimes we don't know what our why is. And that's the difficult part sometimes.
Yeah. And it gets even more confusing these days with social media feeding out a bunch of half truths to people that they bond to the idea rather than any truth that might be underlying it. There's anyway.
And that's the thing, it's unity. I mean, I think what God is calling us to do is unite and be part of the greater good, not to divide and fight all the time. I mean, Steve Gardepy's experience, for instance, what you do unto others is what you're doing unto me. He said that very clearly in his NDE, and that spoke to me as far as, if you're hurting others, you're hurting God. That's a pretty powerful message.
And you also cited that NDE or in your talk about who said the main objection Jesus had to the way we're living our lives is that we don't get along with each other. It's a conflict from one person to the other rather than a brotherhood and sisterhood.
Yes, so. Very much so.
Well, we're I guess I think your experiences have been very encouraging. I mean, God must really think you're on the right track, because he's not giving you any correctional direction. He's just saying, A-okay, keep up the good work, which is, I mean, that's terrific that you're getting that kind of feedback from the Creator.
It's been a thing, though. My whole career has been a God thing. The way I've gone through from, being a school fundraising representative to working, I sold office supplies for about 10 months before that didn't work out. I've been an associate publisher for state's largest, state of Texas' largest hunting and fishing magazine, and then moved into becoming a marketing manager for a little while. And now I'm back into marketing again. This is where I wanted to be, but it's just like all those things, if one had not happened in succession with the other, it wouldn't have come together. Like, it's been God moving through all these different things because I've trusted in the plan. I've just been trusting in whatever's next, your will be done, instead of trying to do it all myself. And I'm not saying I don't try to do it all myself. Sometimes we all do,
Oh, sure.
But it's just relying on the great I am, to bring me, to what's next.
Yeah. What is next? What do you want to do from here on?
I want to continue of hope, and in whatever way that I can be. So that is, blogging more. I've kind of changed my blog from being an outdoor blog more into living in empowered peace and that kind of thing. Writing more. I've written 9 books now, but a lot of them are for the outdoor industry and not necessarily about what this last book was about. But just giving people, continuing to be active in my ministry work, especially with Crosswater Outfitters, being that it's a Christian men's ministry that ministers to soldiers and wounded warriors and people exiting the military. There's a speech that I give that I just posted on Facebook, on my Facebook page, that is called The New Normal. It's a devotion that I get.
You won't believe this, but
months.
Lilia sent it to my wife's phone, and I listened to it just before.
Oh my gosh! Thank you, Lee. So it was good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You got the idea. It's stuff like that. I like to just give hope. I just like to give, hey, this is worth doing, and telling the soldiers that. And one-on-one with the soldiers this weekend, I did some work with basically just kind of some kind of personal ministry stuff where I'm just like, hey, you may not have it all figured out, but God has a plan for you, and those kind of things that's not lip service. It's really because of what I've gone through and been through. Like, it's what I really believe. It's not just me telling you what you want to hear,
Right.
I mean,
right.
I really believe God has a plan for everybody's life. Like, there's a reason why you're here. And NDE Radio has helped me tremendously with having more of a grounded purpose in being who I am and living out that purpose.